Hey, Joey Starr for Star Quality Kitchen. When I was in Trader Joe's picking up those ghost pepper potato chips for that other video, I stopped through the soup aisle and noticed that Trader Joe's had their own brand of ramen. And I thought to myself, Trader Joe's ramen? What does Trader Joe's know about ramen? So rather than be judgmental, I grabbed the first two that looked interesting to me so I can try them for myself. So I picked up the miso ramen and the spicy miso ramen. First cup is done, and the cup itself is really not doing a lot to keep the heat from getting to my fingers, so it's pretty hot, which is fine. I'm not loving the aroma too much. I mean, it smells like, to be perfectly frank, it kind of smells like hot laundry. I know miso is not for everybody, but I like miso, and this doesn't smell like my typical miso. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at the noodles here. The noodles look a little odd to me. I mean, it's definitely not your standard instant ramen noodle as far as the shape and texture, but you can't always judge it by how it looks. Interesting thickness to it too. All right, let's go ahead and give this a shot here. Try. Still hot and steamy, baby, with my name on it. First bite of the miso ramen. Interesting texture. The feel and the chew on this, it's very different than I think any ramen that I've tried. And I haven't really decided if that's in a good way or in a bad way. It's just different. I tell you what, the instructions, these noodles sitting in the broth a good 6 minutes before I started up again and started this. So you would expect it to be maybe a little bit on the soggy side, but it's not. It's actually very al dente. That's to their credit. Let me get a bit of the broth. Okay, the broth does taste better than what it smells like. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it's a miso. It seems a little bit heavy on the mushroom flavor, which I like mushroom. Honestly, I like the broth better than the noodle, but let's get a little more of the noodle here. Something else positive I can say about the noodle, even though it's a little unusual, is that the broth does cling to it pretty well. I don't know what it is. There's something about the noodle that feels and tastes a little off to me. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost as if, I know what it is, it's the flour. What kind of flour does this use? Because it's Trader Joe's and they're going for stuff that's a little more organic and responsible, this was made with unbleached wheat flour. So that's what I'm tasting. I'm tasting the difference in the type of flour that's used in here. So while it may not be as good or the same as your traditional instant ramen noodle, I guess it's a bit healthier, a bit better sourced. But it's not bad, it's just different. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that I don't prefer the taste and experience of a traditional noodle, but I guess there's some consolation in the fact that this is a better flour that they used. Healthier flour, I mean. Definitely a knock I'll give against them is that this is about all that's left in here, or my broth is up to here. So the ratio of noodle to broth is very uneven. It's a lot of broth. So if you're in it for the soup part of it, yay. If you're in it for a ramen experience, yeah, I definitely could have used a lot more noodle than this, but the broth, it's a pretty good broth. And I gotta admit that as I've been drinking it, it's tasting better and better. And I'm sure that the reason why it's an odd tasting miso to me is, again, they're going for a bit more organic and clean and responsible ingredients on here, so it tastes a bit different. It's not bad though. The noodles are decent, the broth is a bit better. Definitely warming. If I'm craving ramen noodles, like, hey, I want to get some instant ramen, I'm probably not going to think of this. Next, I got the spicy miso ramen. The aroma's a little better. A little hint of the miso, but it's a bit overpowered by the spiciness. The noodles look about the same type of noodle, same texture, you know, that unbleached flour thing. That's fine. I expected that at this point. I'm kind of hopeful because I'm thinking even when your recipe requires responsible ingredients and healthier alternatives, that hot sauce is hot sauce and there's really no breaking it down further than it is. To make it more healthy, hot sauce is actually a pretty healthy condiment as far as condiments go. So let's go ahead and try, you know what, let me try a bit of the broth first here. A little sip. It's not bad. Tastes almost a little bit like tomato. Actually doesn't taste very miso-like at all. I mean, I believe Trader Joe's when they say there's miso in here, but it almost tastes like a spicier tomato broth. And it's not a bad thing. It actually tastes pretty good. Really, the spice level, barely there. It's a very mild spice. Yeah, like if anything, it's more peppery than hot. You know what I'm saying? So not because of the heat, but just the flavor. It definitely tastes better than the other one. Slight bit of a buildup in the heat now in my mouth, but still it's very mild. Let's go ahead and try some of the noodle here. Kind of purposely swishing it around. I want to see if I can make it just a slightly less al dente. I like al dente, but I guess because of the type of flour used, it's a little denser than what I really like in my ramen. Let's go ahead. I do appreciate the way that the broth clings onto the ramen here, so let's go ahead and try that. So I don't know if it's a coincidence, but feels and tastes a little grainier than the noodles that was in the miso ramen. But the ramen looked, I mean, when I was putting it together, I mean, the noodles looked exactly the same. So I'm thinking just maybe this particular batch. I mean, when I guess when you produce these the way Trader Joe's does, you can have a little variation because it's not like fully automated, right? I guess. I really don't know how Trader Joe's makes their stuff, but I'm assuming that there's more room for natural variation in their product than say, you know, Manchurian. Go ahead and take a little more. I haven't really decided if I like these noodles or not. That chew, the texture, the feel, taste, it definitely takes some getting used to. It's not bad. It's just a little less than what you get from traditional ramen. So again, if you're looking for a healthier alternative, I guess, don't mind paying a bit more for your ramen, this is not a bad alternative. And like before, I enjoy the broth more than the actual noodles. Let me take a little more. That little bit of heat I was experiencing kind of disappeared already. I'll tell you what, I don't know if Trader Joe's sells these broths, these two broths, separately. It'd be kind of neat to like take those broths and then add in your own noodles. Maybe some fresh noodles from your local Japanese or Korean grocery store. You get a batch of that, you know, the ones that come refrigerated. You just have to throw it in some boiling water or steam it. Add that to this broth, that'd be pretty good. But then again, the broth you would buy in those same places would be even better. But I digress. All right then, Trader Joe's ramen. They do have their own brand name ramen. It's made differently than traditional instant ramen. It's a bit more responsible. They used unbleached, you know, wheat flour and all sorts of responsibly sourced ingredients, organic, like you expect from Trader Joe's, just a ramen version of that. I had the miso and I had the spicy miso. Neither one was bad. I like the spicy miso a bit better, not because it was spicy, but because the actual flavor was better than the miso. But it doesn't hurt that it was spicy too, I'll admit that. Is it worth getting? It's something to try, sure. I think for their price point, if you're on a budget and you just really love ramen, you're gonna find yourself wishing that you allocated your money slightly different and gotten more traditional ramen out of the mix. But if you're looking for a healthier path, but still enjoy some form of ramen, because let's face it, ramen isn't the best thing for you health-wise. This is not a bad way to go if your mindset is going towards that healthier organic version. What about you? Have you had Trader Joe ramen before? Have you had Trader Joe other products similar to ramen? Maybe some Trader Joe versions of some Asian classics besides ramen, maybe some dumplings or something? Let me know about it. drop it in the comments, and I may check it out and even give you a shout out if I review it. Thanks so much for watching Starr Quality Kitchen. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and stalk. Laters. This falls under the category of if there's no other ramen in the house, or if somebody gave me a couple of cups of these for free because they didn't care for it, I'd be happy to eat it, but I'm not going to make any special trips to Trader Joe to go pick this up. Just being honest.